lot of
going
our
like
current situation on Chris
Yeah, that's
nationally.
just in general. Watching the news, just
especially nationally. There's one thing I haven't been desensitized to. It's my hatred of Chris and blame for all bad things. I'll never be desensitized to that. Hello, everyone. Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer of words, recorder of videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to our Alien RPG adventures. We stream our sessions live on YouTube every Friday. You can watch all of our live series as well as reviews on the YouTube channel. You can also listen to all these live shows of the Rogue Watson podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. Join our official Discord server with invite link into the description below. If you would like to support the channel, please check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. For our campaign, we use Roll20.net video chat. We use Discord for streaming. We use OBS Studio. And now here is your actual host and game mother, Chris.
hello. Without any further ado,
Hello.
Hi, mommy.
nice to meet you. All right.
This has now gotten awkward.
We're back. We haven't done this for 2 or 3 weeks. We just finished up our D&D campaign. And as we are wont to do between big campaigns, we like to do smaller campaigns. We had a blast playing Alien RPG 2 years ago, I think. Almost exactly 2 years ago.
I think so, yeah.
We played through the first, I think, starter set adventure, which was kind of more like Alien. And now we're geared up for the next chapter, the next new cinematic scenario thing. But I'll let Chris introduce it.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna redo my intro spiel from the last time we did it.
Thank you.
Reese hasn't.
Thank goodness.
I haven't played this yet, so.
Yeah. I just spilled.
Oh, that's right. You weren't with us last time, were you?
No, I wasn't.
Raymond was a robot.
Yes, you was.
I was in captivity.
I feel like I did pretty good, actually.
Yeah, you were probably one of the best.
I think I did the worst. Or the best, I guess.
You went through multiple characters, but yeah, you did pretty good.
But I had a blast doing it.
That's right.
The chat's already assuming I'm going to blow you all out of an airlock.
She will find a way to do that.
Okay. This is not the music. All right. Well, I was unprepared for music, but
How dare you be unprepared? That's so unprofessional of you. By the way, I was extremely unprepared for tonight. I spent like a solid 10 minutes scrambling to get the overlay set up properly. Apparently, I hadn't screwed that up. So,
if we don't have a technical challenge, are we actually like playing a game together?
That's right.
You know what? I didn't. I also put us in the wrong fucking spaces. Because I copied and pasted our cameras. I need to put Chris in
your
Game Mother.
face is in Game Mother.
I know. I need to move Chris's over. I literally just caught because I was scrambling. I just copied our stuff from the D&D one. That ain't correct.
All right. While you're correcting it, I will do.
Please. That's all I'm doing is stalling for you.
Okay. Since the sudden development of the FTL drive in the early 2030s by the Wayland Corporation, mankind has been pushing out into the void between stars, seeking to both explore and exploit as it spreads across the galaxy. The greatest discovery that mankind has made, though, could be argued to be this: that space is hostile, vast, dark, cold, and uncaring. Gamma rays and neutrino bursts erupt from dying stars to cook you alive. Gravity so strong it can shred planets and tear ships in two like dried leaves. And a void that can simultaneously boil your blood and freeze your brain. Hold your breath and rupture your lungs. Try to scream and no one can hear you. Space isn't as empty as you think either. Its frontiers are ever expanding. Rival governments wage a cold war of aggression whilst greed-driven corporations vie for valuable and rare resources. Colonists reach for the stars, gambling with their lives. Each new world tamed in either feast or famine. Also, so the rumors and space tales would have it, there are things lurking in the shadows of every asteroid, every world. Things strange, different, deadly. Things alien.
Something on the wing.
Welcome to the Alien RPG! Let's see.
That sets the tone, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I just realized I had the wrong document open. I need to open my.
And last time we did Alien, we did not do a session 0.
No, we did a very short session 0, sort of.
We kind of just combined it with an awkward session 1 and kind of jumped right into it. And this time we're gonna have a re-familiar, because it's been 2 years since we played.
Yep.
Reese hasn't
So,
played, and I don't think
yeah.
we, frankly, got it completely right the first time.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that I clarified since then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll probably give a more hefty recap next session when we're actually in the story part of the game. But last time you guys were playing Space Truckers, right? And you guys were pulled into a unfortunate situation with another ship that had been infected with an alien disease that was implanting some people with alien monsters and mutating other people into hideous monstrosities. And some of you got infected, some of you turned on others, some of you were secret robots that tried to kill everybody at the end.
Some of us were just naive, heroic fools that were down the ship.
But at the end of that, and I actually have not finished rewatching our last year's session, but I do believe that Heather's
YouTube.com/Rogue Watson for
that's
all
right.
the Chariot of the Gods is the name.
Chariot of the Gods, yeah. Heather's Jennifer Wilson, who was the Weyland-Yutani Corporation liaison on the ship, managed to evac herself from an exploding spaceship.
Completed my task with the company's best interest at heart.
Yeah.
If it was a board game, I feel like Heather would have won because she was the only one whose like secret goal was successfully completed.
So no, it was neck and neck. Reese at the end of the campaign, Ray's character and Heather's character were literally like punching each other in the face, scrambling to get into the one evac pod.
I highly
like
recommend
they
watching
they were straight up just fighting each other just to
I've
get
got
in
my thing.
It's a board game with like a betrayer mechanic is what it felt like basically, with like constant drama. It was fabulous.
Why couldn't they both get into escape pod?
I think because I think Ray was a secret robot, secret synthetic, whose whole goal was to destroy all of the alien virus. Like he wanted to wipe it out. And Heather's corporation liaison was trying to bring the virus back to the corporation for their own purposes.
That's bad.
We have a monetary and scientific need to study our own developmentally created virus.
That's right. So that was last time. This time,
and real quick, the whole gang here. We have Heather, Raymond.
He forgot who people are.
Well, I'm giving you all a chance to say hi.
We're not used to it. You doing it
Raymond's
this way.
still I know. I screwed with the guy. I needed to do somebody. Heather, Raymond, Reese, and I already said to Chris. Hi. All right. Making sure we've established everybody is here.
I'm Reese.
For folks who listen in the future.
I'm Raymond. It's nice to meet you.
Good job.
Hey, I'm excited to play with you guys. I heard so much about y'all.
Very neutral, also. Not necessarily good. You didn't say good things.
Yeah, I just heard things.
I've heard things.
I've heard so many things about you guys. Yeah, the last time you guys were Space Truckers, this time that you're going to be playing a cinematic scenario that happens a few years later, wherein you are no longer civilians. You are now a squad of badass,
ultimate
united
badasses.
Yeah, multiple badasses in the Marine Corps. USCMC. I forget what that stands for. United something.
Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Colonial Marines at one time, or am I making that up?
I think that might be what USCMC stands for. I could look it up. USCMC. Actually, no. Oh, that's not right. I can't remember.
Soviet Marine Corps.
We're secret communists. Oh no.
Oh shit. Now we're gonna hear about Chris's NSA visit tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah. So I'll start by giving just a very brief, like, what the alien, how the alien RPG plays just a little bit, and then we'll start diving into the actual rules. I'll have to stop it at one point because I realized I was gonna talk about the rules and then have you guys talk about characters, but I realized you guys want to look at character sheets while I'm talking about rules. So we'll do that first. We'll do that before we actually get into the rule section. But in general, what I'll say is that the Alien RPG plays very similar to D&D, where, you know, it's the same player GM mechanic where the GM will describe a scene, you describe what you want to do, the GM will tell you what you need to roll. You've got skills, you've got attributes. Yeah, that's right. Stromo.
I'm wearing my Alien 1 shirt tonight, so I interrupt again. And then I figure next week in session 1, I'll wear my Aliens shirt, which is
nice.
the Ripley Power of
Oh,
51.
Chris, there's your initials, USCSS.
Yep, there it is. That's what I was trying to say.
What was it? USCSS?
That's what's
It's on your shirt, dude.
Oh, was it?
A shirt with stripes on it.
Yes, it is.
My husband's pretty, y'all. He's very pretty.
I still can't quickly Google it and to figure out what USCSS stands for.
I'm not getting nearly enough Aliens quotes. Come on, chat. You can do better than this.
Yeah, so you have skills, you have attributes, you have different types of actions. In this game, it's fast action, slow action instead of bonus action and attack or main action.
United States Cargo Starship.
Oh, that's what the USCSS. Okay.
Mhm.
You have weapons, armor. You know, it's got a lot of the same mechanics. Just the way they work is a little different. The primary differences is the tone. Unlike D&D, which is very high fantasy, power fantasy, your superhero is stronger than everybody else, and you know, you're fighting the biggest of the bad monsters. This game is far more horror in tone. And well, I say that you're not. I mean, the Marines probably think they're bad. Yeah, think they're like the biggest badasses.
Elevator to hell. Go
That's right. So when you're role playing your characters, think of them as characters in a horror movie because that's what they are. And as such, death is not the end for the players in this game. Like it would be extremely unusual if we don't have at least a few deaths in any cinematic scenario.
I think that was the single most liberating concept for playing it last time, was that you explained that like lethality is a big part of like it's built into the system, and you're expected not to survive. And we're playing like a cinematic scenario, so it's not like an overarching campaign. It's
it's not going to continue. So
it will take multiple sessions, but it's just a thing right there. So it's almost playing more like an XCOM situation, maybe,
a little bit,
versus like a big RPG.
Yep.
But in space.
But it's space. Everything's space. Space Nazis, space monsters.
Space XCOM.
Space XCOM. Yeah, and there are I mean, you can tell there's 7 Marines. There are systems in place for when the character you're playing dies. Basically, there are other characters for you to play. And because of that, you know, any ally that you encounter could potentially be a player later on if your current player dies.
You're gaining lives.
You're getting lives, yeah. What else before we talk about characters? The biggest difference mechanically is how successes are rolled. In Alien, when you're rolling a skill, an attack, defense roll, whatever, you don't have different size dice. You don't have a D20, a D12, whatever. You've only got D6s. That's all you've got. And the only thing that your skill numbers and attack numbers and all that control is how many D6s you roll. So you could have your skill could be a 5. So that means you roll 5 D6 dice. A success is if you get a 6 on any of those dice. Like if you get even 1 6, that roll is a success. So you're really just trying to roll as many dice as possible and then hope you get at least 1 success in that roll. Yeah, that's all I can really talk about before we start looking at character
Kind of like
sheets.
Shadowrun. I think Shadowrun was a 5 or 6 was a success, but it was the same concept where only use d6s, and it was like the number of d6s is how it.
You just
made
roll a
things
bunch
harder,
of
easier.
dice. Yep. Which I bet is fun in person because sometimes you're just rolling like 10 dice.
Yeah.
Like, go dice. So yeah, characters. Like I said, if you guys are particularly drawn to a character, I will entertain that. Or if you want me to pick which ones might be best in the scenario, the only one that's been claimed is Eric is playing Chaplain, the synthetic, but the rest are free game. So you guys tell me, what do you want to do? You want me to pick for you? I can go through them if you want, and
I'm gonna have you pick for me. That's
I should clarify that Chris picked for me as well. I didn't actually choose one. I literally said,
I asked him a couple leading questions, and based on his questions, I was like, "Oh, okay, you're gonna play this person."
Yeah, what are those? A couple RPGs that do that, where you like come on and you like answer some questions, and they give you like your starting class, your starting weapon, or something. Yes. Like that's what you did with me.
Yep.
Like here's this questionnaire, and here's the character that's gonna fit for you.
Yep. It's really because you died so much in the last game. Like I wanted to give you the character that can't die.
That's a pretty good perk.
There's no possible way.
Yep. Feels like a challenge.
I dare you to kill him.
I'm gonna launch him into space.
I was gonna say there are definitely ways.
I'm gonna drop him in a volcano.
I'm pretty sure they killed the android in the very first.
Yeah, I feel like the androids died in most of them.
I don't know. Bishop survived aliens. It's just he was like half a bishop.
You're gonna fight the sun now.
Yeah. So Reese, you said, "Oh my goodness, I swallowed wrong."
I did say.
Wait, we have a. Where's the sound?
This is a direct quote.
That's what she said.
Oh, what? I only have access to like. Oh wait, I have to click show all now. That's stupid.
Oh, because we're in a different game. Or
where's there?
I spilled whiskey all over my pants.
There's.
Yeah.
Spilled
okay, what were you about to say?
So Reese, you said you just let me pick. Heather, you just said you let me pick. Ray, do you have one?
Yeah.
Ray, do you have one that you really want to play, or
I'll play Mason.
You want to play Mason?
Why? Is that a bad choice?
No, that's totally. No, it's totally.
You hear that judging tone in his voice.
I did.
You surprised me. Just your confidence.
You son of a bitch.
Your confidence just shocked me. Like you were like, yeah, I'm gonna play Mason.
I just read through the 6 profiles real quick, and that one seemed interesting.
Okay. Profiles?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you go to characters.
I watched the video.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess the main thing on the character profiles would be the main thing in terms of like if you want to look at like role play, would be looking at their personality description.
Yep.
Because yeah.
May have chosen meticulous on purpose.
Meticulous. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, in that case, Reese and Heather.
Ooh,
I'm
Mason's
going to
the squad leader?
No.
No?
Oh, she might be a squad leader, but the actual like captain of the squad is somebody else.
Your mid-level management.
Right.
Hey, you're teamed with me. You're in the rifle team along with Chaplain.
Yep. Don't make me regret it.
Well, it probably means you're the one person who probably trusts me at the outset, I would imagine then.
Yeah, let's see who. I have no idea the relationship between these 7 characters.
Yeah,
No,
are we? I mean, it sounds like we're on
fine.
the same team, and yet a lot of these specifically call out certain character like pairings or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry that too much because you guys don't know each other that well. You guys are. Once we get in the story next week, I'll explain. But you guys have been essentially pulled from different, whatever they call squadrons,
Yeah.
and put together into this squadron.
Okay.
A couple of you may know each other a little bit, or be buddies, or just get along now. But yeah, you all. It's not like you guys have been working together for a ton of time.
Okay.
Okay, in that case, Reese, I'm gonna give
Me.
you Captain Silva, who is the squad leader of this entire team.
Nice.
All right.
And Heather, I'm gonna give you Private First Class Dante.
Okay.
Let me start sharing character sheets so that you guys can look at character sheets.
I'm a sin-eating chain smoker.
Sin eating.
Oh, you're Watson, not Eric Watson.
Black Op is too dirty for the US CMC Star Raiders. The Sin Eaters are called.
I'm in the salt team.
Yeah, you are.
You're a talkative personality. The assault team breaches doors, takes out security systems, and neutralizes enemy encampments.
Feels about right.
Ray is.
All right, so should I update our names below then, if we know who we're playing? At least at the start. I'm prepared to change them if we die.
Right. Yes, you can update those. So Reese is Silva.
Be-
Okay, you guys should be able to get into your character sheets now. Let me know if that's not the case.
Are we still playing D&D?
No, we're not.
In fact, not.
So the only thing I'll warn you about immediately, just so you don't accidentally say it, is the top left of your character sheet has your personal agenda in it. That is just for you. It's not for anybody else. The rest of the information on your character sheet you can share if you want to.
So don't read it out loud.
Don't read it out loud. Yeah. Let me see. Open up. Make sure I got this right.
All right, should have names on the screen.
Awesome. Okay. Everybody, you got everybody in your character sheet? Everybody can see it? Thumbs up.
All of it's.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call this color? Like old monitor green, gray?
Yeah, I'll monitor green.
It looks like a Game Boy, like the old Game Boy.
Right. Yeah.
Look.
I feel like that back in like the 70s, that must be how all monitors look. So that's kind of how the aesthetic landed.
Oh no.
Her character's like, she's actually a xenomorph in disguise. she's actually 3 xenomorphs in a fucking trench coat. I expect
Dante, what should we do?
Did your abdomen just answer me?
No?
Hello, fellow humans.
And she will outlive us all.
Hello, fellow humans. I am Private First Class Dante.
So yeah, I'll give you what I'll do is I'll give us a very quick rundown of this character sheet, and then we'll get into like the actual handouts and Roll20 of what that sort of walk through the rules and how these different mechanics work. So yeah, top left is the personal agenda. That's just for you. It's sort of a little bit private background information. Top is your name, just your last name, which is what people will mostly be calling you, and your rank. Below that's your career. It doesn't really matter because these characters are pre-gen, but if we were creating a character from scratch, your career would control a few things. Below your name and career is just the roll buttons box. That one's just used for the panic button, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Panic button.
Eric's very familiar with the panic button.
There will be so much panic.
Yep.
So much stress and panic.
Top right is your personal talents. You have 2 of them. I will talk about those after we get through all the rules, basically, when I talk a little bit more about the specific characters and what they have and can do. Below that, below the talents, is experience points. Don't worry about it. We're not going to use those for this cinematic thing. This is a ongoing campaign thing. I'll go back to the other side. Top left, right below personal agenda, relationships. This is very vaguely who you might be buddies with, who you might be rivals with. You feel free to role play it however you want. If you aren't feeling these, some of these aren't played characters, so they may not be terribly applicable.
That was something I wanted to ask. Sorry, are the people who aren't playing with us, are they like in the group?
They are,
so that we can reference them, or like you can play them or something.
Exactly. They're gonna be with you
they
where you're
exist
going
in the space.
They're kind of I'll be honest, for a lot of the game, they're probably gonna like stay in the car, kind of that kind of thing. But they're gonna be with you the entire time. Yes. Okay. Underneath your relationships is your stress level. You can just click those little boxes to tick that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And to turn it up and down. I will explain what those are later. Below that is your health. You should have your max health already plugged in case you're wondering. It is also your strength score. If you can't tell already, there's not a lot of health in this game. It's pretty low number, which is why the damage numbers are generally pretty low. Like a pistol does 2 damage, right? So that's why you might have 4 health. And the damage numbers are just generally low, partially because it's such a lethal game. Fights aren't designed to last that long.
My health is lower than my strength.
Maybe it's your stamina. No, it should be your strength. I'll have to look at that later if it's not calculating right. It's supposed to auto calculate.
Yeah, mine's my strength.
Okay. Yeah, I might need to look at yours later, Reese. Below the health is radiation. Don't worry, we're not going to worry about that till it comes up. If it comes up, don't worry about that tough button. That's a talent that none of you have. Below that is critical injuries. If you receive a critical injury, which I'll explain later, you will enter that here. Below that is conditions. Once you have one of these conditions, you'll check the box to indicate you have them. You don't have to worry about that quite yet. Below that is consumables. These are things that you just might be consuming. You guys all should have, except for Eric, should have a pack of food and water that you would bring out with you into the world. If you were going on a spacewalk, for example, you would also have a supply of air. Or if you were operating some electrical equipment or something that was drawing power, you would have a power consumable.
Oops.
You rolling? Oh,
I rolled food.
You rolled food. You don't have any food.
I don't. Probably why it didn't work.
Just like a synthetic to try to make himself popular.
Yeah. Bottom center is your weapons. You should have little tabs to go to all your different weapons. Bottom right is your gear. You don't really have to mess with that too much unless you want to add something later or drop something later. But just to get you acquainted with it, your gear is there's a description, and then the columns are number, which is how many of those things you have. The weight is what that one thing weighs, and then the encumbrance is just that number, those 2 numbers times together. So if you had 2 things that weighed 4, you'd have an encumbrance. It would have an encumbrance of 8. Above that is a signature item, which we'll talk about that also in a little bit, but it's just what is yours good?
It's a pack of smokes and a lighter.
Yeah.
His signature item is just smoking.
Yeah. my personality is I smoke.
That's my personality.
Some people do make that a personality.
It's better than mine. I got a Colonial Marine figure.
Got a toy.
Pretty special.
I have a G.I. Joe man.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe, yep. Above that is tiny items. These are just like things that we put in like our D&D character sheets that like don't have any real functional use, really.
Let me put my signature item in there.
Yeah, right. No, signature item actually has a use. It does have a use, so that's why it gets its own thing. And then above that is story points. We'll talk about how those work also later. Which brings us to the middle, which I think. Well, okay, I'll explain first what you're looking at. The middle four things, the middle four circles, are your four attributes. There's only four of them in this game: strength, agility, empathy, wits. And we'll talk about what those are in a second, but each of those attributes has 3 skills tied to it. And those are both basically the 3 skills that are right outside of those circles. So for strength, it's heavy machinery, close combat, and stamina. And of course, the higher number is better. Humans have a rating of from between 1 and 5 on attributes, and between 0 and 5 on skills. And that's just how 5 is like. I've trained for this. Like I have peak human conditioning. And then synthetics can go above that. Synthetics do not have. Yeah, they don't have human limitations. Okay, I think that's all we need. There's also armor right below the attribute, the skills, and there's also encumbrance, which we'll talk about in a second too. Because right now we're going to get into it, and we're just going to start opening the handouts. I'll start showing you guys the handouts so you can follow along as I sort of talk. There's nothing in the your character one that you really need to care about. Core concepts is a good one though. It's mostly what I just explained. You have career, which controls like some of your talents and some other things, but that's not a thing in this because you have pre-gen characters. You have skills, which are your knowledge level and training for that particular skill. You have attributes, which is just like your personal self, how strong you are. Strength is raw muscle, power, and brawn. Agility is body control and speed. Wits is sensory perception and intelligence. And empathy is personal charisma and the ability to manipulate others. There's a thing on playing an android, which they generally have higher strength and agility scores just as for having a robot body. And we'll get to the other stuff later.
Oh, androids don't suffer stress and don't have a stress.
Yeah.
You never make panic rolls? This is like a broken character.
Am I an android?
You're all androids. Stress. So yeah, stress is a thing that you can accumulate over time. Like I said, you have between 0 and 10 of them that you can get. It starts at 0, but it can be increased through a lot of different things. Seeing something stressful, doing something stressful, something bad sometimes can increase your stress. Really trying really hard to do something, which we'll talk about in a second, pushing rolls, can increase your stress by 1. And then health. Like we said, it should be your strength score, which I'll fix on Reese's later. And when you reach 0 in health, we'll talk about what happens then in a second. Let's move on to personal stuff.
Whoa.
Everybody tell me a secret. Whisper your secrets. I think we kind of already talked about most of this, actually. Buddies and Rivals is just a role-playing thing. And again, the game may end up playing out different than your current Buddy Rivals says right now. The only thing to note in this one is player versus player. The rules for that are, if 2 of you as players ever decide that you were at odds and must come into direct conflict, your game mother will allow it for that fight, that conflict. And once that conflict is over, the game mother will take control of one of those players, whichever one. How they phrase it here? Whichever one has turned traitor is the quotes. Whichever one is basically against the team in general.
What if the team exactly splits up?
That's a good question. What happens then? Two of you get new characters.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know.
always have to pick. Yeah, so it makes
Yeah.
sense though. You could do the moment, but then at some point you're like, all right, well now this person becomes like an NPC controlled by the GM.
Exactly. Yeah, because before that things come out in the open, what I'll say is this game, while we're playing, I would advise everybody to watch the chat log or listen for it because it doesn't make a noise. Because this game does tend to feature a good amount of whispering between the DM and the players. Just because, I'm giving you information that you may or may not want to share with the rest of your party. You're telling me the things that you want to do while you're not in sight of your party. I don't know how much you did it, Eric, but I almost felt bad for you because you didn't do it very much. Heather and Ray were messaging me constantly.
I told you, I was the naive, sweet, like innocent.
Yeah.
Through both characters I played, I was like, I had no real secrets, or which you can't have like everybody, I guess, have some kind of crazy.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. Somebody's got to be the straight man,
right?
Yeah,
right.
Or multiple straight men. It doesn't. Yeah. But
questions that needed answered. We have to message a mother to
Well,
find out.
it's fun to sit here and just watch them go.
Yeah,
just feel like, oh, there's shit going on.
There's that, but there's also Heather messaging me saying I set the self-destruct on the ship, or Ray messaging me I shoot this man in the back of the head, which are both whispers that I got from both of them.
The only bummer about that is that everybody watching got it from my naive point of view and didn't see any of the cool background.
Which actually maybe it's
better.
Cinematically appropriate.
It was legit shocking.
Yeah. I remember in that first game. Yep. In that first game, I don't know that you guys ever really, so I'm only halfway through the 4th episode. You guys never really even worried about who shot that guy in the back of the head because other stuff happened immediately after.
Yeah.
But Ray shot him in the back of the head.
Good to know.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for personal stuff.
I'm sure there was a good reason though.
That was a good reason. I mean, your directive was to kill everybody who knew how to replicate or who worked with 26 Draconis strain, and
that's right.
He was the scientist. He was the doctor. Okay, your gear. I'll skip down a little bit. One of the key things here is your signature item. It's a role play thing, but it's got one practical use, and that it has sentimental value to you, to your character. And as such, once per act in cinematic play, and there will be 3 acts in this game, which will be fairly easy to differentiate. They will be very easy because I'll have to stop and give you guys your act story cards. But once per act, your character can interact with your signature item to reduce stress by 1. And that could just be like, I don't know, meaningfully.
I need a smoke.
What are we teaching the children here? Oh, my stress level is so high.
I need to go through a pack of cigarettes.
This is really bringing me back down. Meanwhile, Ray's character is more wholesomely playing with an action figure.
That's right.
Rubbing it in my hand.
He's a paint thinner.
Let's see. We don't need to talk about vehicles and spaceships quite yet. Consumables. That's the bottom left of your character sheet. And the way these works is you go out on a day's mission or out into the world, and you have a supply of one of these 4 things. And every once in a while, depending on what you're doing and depending on how much time has passed, your game mother will ask you to make a supply roll for a specific supply. And what that looks like is that. So you roll 4, or you roll the number of dice that you have of that supply. So Jamuski has 4 food, so he rolled 4 food. You guys are all getting good rolls because the way it works is if anybody rolls a 1, or for every 1 that you roll, you lose that many of the supply. So if you get real, so there's one.
Oh no!
Captain Silva just went through one.
ate your sandwich.
That's right. So at this point, if you had rolled that, now Mason's.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And of all the things to eat, that's
Charlie.
That's,
He loves cucumber sandwiches.
You would minus your
He
food.
sleeps in my room.
Food by 1, yeah. He eats your sandwiches.
Like a CPAP machine.
So it's kind of, this is how like ammo works too. Like it's kind of like we don't strictly track like, oh, it's so much time has passed, you've used one. It's kind of randomized. The good part about that is that you can get a bunch of like your earlier rolls and rolls no ones. So a lot of time can go by where you don't use any of your supply, or you can roll 3 ones and suddenly your food, you pull your sandwich out and it's rotten and you don't have any food left.
Damn.
Yeah,
What a
Charlie.
shitty way to die in this universe. Like, well,
I have no food.
Zemersky ran out of sandwiches, so
That's right.
might as well just feed him to the enemy.
I didn't get killed by aliens. I ran out of sandwiches.
It's malnutrition that did him in.
Died of lack of sandwiches.
All my teeth fell out.
Yeah, well, I will say water and food have longer consequence timelines than say air. If you run out of air, that's a bit of a bigger deal.
I have no need for air.
What if your air is already 0?
That means you don't have an air supply. You don't need it right now.
You are suffocating.
You're suffocating me.
Do not have an air supply.
Let's see. Consumables. This is how often you roll them. Air, you'd roll every turn. We'll get to the time things later. The time terminology is different in this game. But I'll tell you when to roll them. Encumbrance. So this is a good one to note. You guys shouldn't have to worry about it, except for the fact that as Marines, you guys are pretty loaded up. Your encumbrance, the max you can carry is twice your strength score. So if you have a strength of 5, your encumbrance is 10. And you can see that number below your skills. Right, there's armor and encumbrance.
It says encumbrance.
It's where it says encumbrance. So you can't carry above that. You can carry above that, but there are consequences if you do. Some of you are currently loaded up almost to max. The downside, if you can become over encumbered if you want, if you decide to pick up a bunch of stuff, but when you want to move in combat, you have to make a mobility roll if you want to run or crawl in a round of combat. And if you fail that mobility roll, you don't move, or you have to drop everything you're carrying in order to move.
Sorry, you said encumbrance is twice our strength score?
Yep.
And then that number is what
Your
we currently have?
Yeah, what you currently have.
No.
Exactly. Some of you are loaded up, like you can't carry anything else.
I hope no butterflies land on me.
Take our max loadout into this.
Or pieces of straw.
You guys are like full-on Marines. You got like just heavy weaponry all over the place.
Hey, get rid of some of these grenades.
Click, 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 click. Okay.
Why are you arming them?
I'm not going to use them.
All right.
We're in an airlock.
Rolling dice. Like I said, skills are measured in skill levels from 0 to 5, except for synthetics, which can go up to 7, I think.
6.
Skills,
or maybe they go up to 7. Mine go up to 6.
Okay. So like I said, your attributes are your the things about your person, and your skills are basically your training, like how well you know how to do the thing that is in the skill. The way you roll dice, like if I call for a skill check, all you have to do is click the skill. But just so you know what's happening is your skill roll is the number in that skill plus the number of that attribute.
I rolled a lot of dice too.
Wow. and got no
I'm
success.
the
You're
medic. I
dead.
did not successfully patch anybody up with that one.
Yeah. So that's why you're rolling so many dice. Like if you got a 4 in your what's that one called? A 4 in your agility and a 3 in range combat, you're rolling 7 dice. And as Marines, a lot of you are going to be very good at range combat.
Who's got the best stat of each thing? What's everybody's specialty?
Ooh, yeah, you guys can compare. I don't even know. Yeah,
So
what are you guys' specialties?
What's your highest total between skill and stat associated with it?
I got a +3 in range combat.
Me too.
What's your?
Oh,
man, I'm not special at
what's your
anything.
agility?
3.
So 6 is total.
3.
Do you have anything higher than a 6 total?
Nope.
I do.
Command?
You're the captain.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it, though.
I'm not gonna listen to you.
That's fair.
Immediately break down the group.
I don't have to listen to you. You're not my dad.
I'm not a man.
You're not a man.
You suck at command.
I got 2 8s. I got an 8 in comm tech and an 8 in medical aid. So I'm basically a utility and healer.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it though.
I know, I can actually roll successes. I also have an 8 in heavy machinery. So I'm forklift certified.
You
That's
are a
right.
machine.
That's a good point.
So yeah, as you guys are rolling, like, any of the
You're
crosshairs you see are a 6. That means you succeed that roll. That's period. That's it. Well, except for what we'll talk about later. But
I make them a 5.
Is there auto fail?
yeah, if you get no successes, you auto fail. Like you do fail the roll. We'll talk about what you can do in a second as I go down. Gear can give you extra base dice to roll. So like if you have a pistol that gives you a +1 to your range combat. Well, now if you click your pistol, it'll be your whatever your range combat number is plus the pistol's +1. Like that. It's a bonus 1, so it's whatever her range combat is plus 1 more dice. Yeah.
It says my surgical kit also does 2 damage. I can use it as a weapon.
Apparently. Like a scalpel slicing.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. The art of failure. If you don't roll any successes, something goes wrong. And the game basically says like role play why it doesn't succeed. And yeah, sure, we'll do that. It also says there's a lot of stuff that like if you do fail it, you still may be able to do it, or something still may happen, but there may be consequences.
She's got 9 dice for that pulse rifle. Holy shit.
Yeah, she's not messing around with that thing.
She's got the murder one.
Yeah. If you go down just out of curiosity, you can see what your chances of success are with each number of dice. When you're at 4 dice, you're basically 50-50. How many dice did Heather just roll?
9.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. At 9 dice, she's got an 81% chance to succeed.
Okay.
So
The odds are brilliant.
she's got really good odds to hit somebody with that pulse rifle.
And there was a thing where you added stress dice, like added dice, but they like could give you the face hugger symbol.
Yep. So I'll talk about that right now. It's the next thing. Pushing your roll. So if you roll and you are desperate to succeed, you really need this roll to work. You can do what's called pushing the roll. Now you can do this if you got no successes. You can also do it if you got a success and you just really want more successes. This would be like if you're firing a weapon and you want a bunch of extra damage, like you really need a bunch of extra damage, you could push the roll. What happens is I'll just read what it says. Usually you would only, pushing a roll means you re-roll every dice that you did not roll a 6 on. So if you already rolled a 6, you do get to keep that 6, but you re-roll all the rest of the dice. However, as part of that action, you do add 1 stress dice to that roll. And stress, and when I say stress dice, I mean like a level of stress. You add 1 level of stress to your character and then re-roll all of the dice that are not 6, including the stress dice. Now, what that does is two things. Stress gives you another dice. Oh, that's a good example. Thank you.
That's the worst you could have done.
That's the worst you can do. Stress dice does two things. It gives you an extra dice, so you have a bigger chance to succeed. You have more chances to get to roll a 6. But stress dice have one major difference from regular dice, and the stress dice are yellow, is that stress dice have a 1. They have something that happens when you roll a 1, and that's the face hugger symbol. And that is you fucking panic. You freak out. So when you are doing a skill check or an attack, and you decide to push, and then you roll it, and you roll your stress die, and you get a 1 on that stress die, and only on the stress die. If you roll 1s on the regulars, nothing happens. But if you roll a 1 on that stress die, you have to roll on the panic table, and the panic table can be a lot of different things.
There's a panic button on our character sheet.
There is a panic button, and you can click it if you want, but it's not going to be very much for you right now because you don't have much stress. The way panic works is there's a how many are there? It's not 66. It's there are 15 different, or no, I'm sorry, there's not actually 15, but you can roll between 1 and 15. There's, I think, 10 different effects that can happen to you as part of panicking. They get worse the higher the number goes. So a 2, you're keeping it together. You manage to keep your nerves in check barely, it says. Okay, 6 also, you keep it together. But the way stress works is that every time you roll that panic button, you roll 1d6 and you add the number of stress you have. So if you've got 6 stress and then you roll a 2, that'll be an 8.
Trying to give you an example. There we go.
There you go. So you had 5 stress.
Yeah, I just clicked on.
And then you rolled a
5.
4.
Yeah.
So what 9 does is you drop your item. Whether by stress, confusion, or realization that you're all going to die anyway, you drop a weapon or other important item. The GM decides which one. Your stress level increases by 1. So they can get 9's not even that bad. Depending on what you're doing, 9 you could still complete the check, maybe.
Yeah.
Depending on, like, if you're trying to fire a gun and you drop your item, no, that's not going to work. But other things you might actually. How would you do that?
How do you have a -2 to stress?
Oh, that's a skill you have.
Oh.
Which we'll talk about later. But yeah, he has -2 to stress rolls.
So without any stress levels, you can't ever trigger a bad panic because it doesn't look like there's anything between 1 and 6.
That's right. Yeah, but you also, outside of something panicking you, which things can panic you outside of you rolling. Yeah. Like if something really traumatic happens in front of you, I may tell you all, okay, everybody in this room, roll a panic, please.
Yeah.
But if you've got 0 stress, then yeah, you can't. Nothing bad can really happen because you can only roll between 1 and 6. But if you've got, say, 6 stress, a lot of bad things can happen. Let's see. That's that. Oh, now we come to story points, which at the end of an act, assuming you guys role played your character well and followed your character's agenda well, your game mother will award you 1 story point. These are kind of like inspiration, but way, way better. Because what a story point does is it gives you 1 success on a roll. You can just replace one of those dice with a 6. And in this game, I will say this too. Keep in mind, in this game, I'm not going to have you make that many rolls outside of combat. Like, the number of skills you make is going to be, or skill checks you're going to make, are going to be relatively small, but they should all be relatively meaningful. So if something's you may be making some really critical skill checks that you need a success. So having a story point in your back pocket would be useful. Let's see what else is on here. You can't push twice. If you pushed your roll and re-rolled, you can't push again. You can only except for there's some people in your talents that you do that.
I can go past the limit.
You can go past the limit.
I think something we messed up on is, and it says here, you can't push if you have a facehugger symbol already or something.
Yes. That we did mess that up last time. If you panic, you cannot push the roll. You just panic.
Yeah.
You take the roll as it stands, and you roll on the panic dice. Yeah, that one we messed up last time. I do think we corrected ourselves like 3/4 of the way through the thing. There is such a thing as like advantage, disadvantage, but it doesn't. The way it works in this game is basically you just get +1, +2, -1, -2. So if I decide that a roll is going to be exceedingly difficult, I might tell you to make your piloting check with a -2.
What a
and all that means is you roll 2 less dice. That can go for like modifications. Let's see, difficulty of the action, help from others, or just the difficulty of the task.
Are the talents which seem to give you those kind of modifiers, are those already baked into the sheet, or do we have to remember to add those modifications?
Certain ones are, certain ones aren't. Like which one are you looking at?
Well, it's not a spoiler to say that my career is medic.
No, these are
one of my
talents. The talents are public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is a field surgeon. So it says I get a +2 whenever I use medical aid to treat someone who's about to die from a critical injury.
So that one's baked into that box. That box should have a roll button on it. Like on the top right.
Oh, it does. You're right.
Yeah. So that's your specific roll for that situation.
Okay. Nice.
The one that Ray has, I believe Ray is Mason. I'm gonna have to memorize this before next time. That's baked in, the -2 on stress dice rolls. What else? Helping for others. People can help you. And by doing that, they can either take a full action to help you, like if say you're trying to lift something, and someone's gonna help you lift. All that does, it's basically like the way it works in D&D, where it's like, I'm gonna take the help action. That adds 1 dice to the player's roll who's doing it for each person who's helping. So like, for example, if 3 people were helping him lift a thing, that one dude would get to add 3 dice to that roll. Opposed rolls happen sometimes. This happens if you were trying to use your manipulate skill or your mobility skill to like sneak past somebody. And it works exactly like it does in D&D. There's an attacker and there's a defender. The attacker has to get more successes than the defender in order to successfully do the thing. And that's it for the rolling dice section. Let's talk about the skills. So the one thing I haven't talked about yet in terms of rolling dice is what happens if you get more than 1 success. And what happens is you get to do a stunt. And stunts are outlined on this page. And it could be anything from like really important things to like nothing if you don't really want to do anything important. So yeah, I'll go through the skills here. Heavy machinery is working with heavy machinery. Powerful machines, attempt to use, repair, or jury rig or break any kind of heavy machinery. And then there's a list here of each of the stunts you can do if you get a success beyond the first. And for this one, you can gain a +1 to a later skill roll for the same, for a related check. You could make it so that you don't need to make this roll again later on. You could do it quick. You could do it in half the time it would normally take. You could break it permanently. You could act quietly, or you could just show off. All of these have like a just show off option.
Yeah.
And I will say for each extra success you get, you can pick one of these. So if you get 3 extra successes, you can pick from 3 of these, or you can show off three times. Stamina is surviving like bad things. It's like your Constitution saving throw in D&D. Surviving the cold vacuum of space, resisting a deadly contagion. And then for every success beyond the first, you could either give another player a success for the same situation you're in, which is interesting. I don't know how like in universe that makes sense, but like giving someone better resistance to a disease who's near you. Or you can gain a +1 to a later roll that's similar, or you can make sure you don't need to make the same roll later. Harden yourself by the experience or impress someone. Close combat is exactly what it sounds like. You have a knife, a fist, a stick. You're trying to attack someone. Yeah, so that's what that skill would be. And then every success after the first is you either inflict one more point of damage, which that's a big one. In combat, that's gonna become like the main thing you really want, probably, is to do extra damage with your extra successes.
Yeah, it sounds like that's like the main thing where more successes comes through as you just deal
That's
more damage.
yeah, it's probably the most important like extra success mechanic is just one more damage for every success. Because you could go from doing 2 damage with a pistol to 4 or 5 damage, and that could one shot somebody conceivably. You can outmaneuver the enemy and trade initiative scores with them if that's useful.
Dude, group stealth, it says the lowest, the person with the worst skill level in stealth has to roll for the whole group. That does make sense. But
it does make sense. It's the most brutal interpretation of the group stealth rule. Yep. You can disarm someone, knock a weapon or object from their hands, knock someone to the ground. It's all the attack actions in D&D. You can grapple someone. Yeah. Mobility is, as you said, Eric, it's used for things like getting out of hazardous situations, climbing, dangerous jumps, sneaking past a lurking enemy. So it is also it's a combination of like D&D's like acrobatics and also D&D's stealth. It's both of those in one thing. And for extra successes, you can give another player a success. You can get a +1 to a later skill roll relating to this one, or you can impress someone. And yeah, group stealth, you use the worst person with the worst stealth. Piloting is piloting a ship or a vehicle. Same deal. You can get a +1 to a later skill, or you can show off. That's basically it. Range combat is what Marines are going to be doing a lot of, because Marines like to shoot. So yeah, most of your items, you Marines, except Eric, most of the items that you have in your inventory,
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
are going to be range combat, except for like your combat knife, I think. That's the only close combat thing you have. And then any extra successes, you can either inflict 1 more damage. You can pin down an enemy to make them make an immediate panic roll. You can position yourself and exchange initiative scores with your enemy for the next turn. You can make your target drop their weapon or another handheld object. So like shoot the gun out of someone's hand with the extra success. You can make them fall to the ground or get pushed back. For example, through an airlock. It's a very specific example. Observation is your perception skill from D&D. It's spotting someone who's sneaking, which is a big thing, or to spot some unknown threats or learn more about it. Extra successes. This was a little different. Where extra successes let you answer a question about the thing you just noticed. Is it coming from me? Are there more of them close by? How do I get in, past, away from it? So you basically get more information about whatever it is you just saw with your observations check. Comtech is operating all manner of communications and electronics in this universe. It's computers, it's electronics, it's soldering motherboards, it's all that kind of stuff. And then for each extra success, you can either get a +1 to a later skill roll for that. You can make sure you don't have to do the same thing in the future. You can do it in half the time. You get new or unexpected information, which that could come in handy with like hacking a computer, right? Like you're trying to find a specific piece of information and you hack it and get something else. You can hide your tracks or you can show off. Survival is probably not going to come up all that much. It's kind of almost exact same usefulness as the D&D survival skill. It's like how well you can know how to survive in extreme heat and cold, sandstorms, acid rain, other extreme weather. If you need to figure out a way to survive. And then
that's the whole point of the story, I feel like, is having to try to survive.
Exactly. Yep. And then the stunts are basically the same. You can give it for some of the other ones. You can give another player success, get a +1 to a later skill roll. And then the empathy ones, manipulation is your persuasion check. Like you can lie, threaten, subtly persuade someone to get what you want. Failure, they won't listen to you, or they might even dislike you. Succeed, you can try to convince them to do something that you want. And then for each extra success, the manipulation is almost always going to be an opposed roll. Like they're almost always going to like do something back, unless they don't really like know you at all and you're just trying to talk to them. But extra successes, you can choose one of these. Your opponent does what you want without demanding a favor in return. Your opponent does more than you ask. For example, give you some useful piece of information. Or your opponent is impressed by you and will try to help you later in some way.
I like that under succeed. Yeah, your adversary must either do what you want or immediately attack you physically.
Yeah. It's either one or the other. You got to go.
There's no in between.
We're not going to get into all this, but there's whole big rules down here about negotiating with someone that have like modifiers for how many people are on your side versus how many people are on their side. Have you helped them? Do they know you very well? There's a whole bunch of stuff there that you can read if you want. Manipulation is not mind control. It says.
Yeah, same thing with charisma checks.
Yeah, it's right. The king will not give you his crown through a command, which this one's for you, Reese, because you by far have the biggest on this one. This is a specific like action that you have, basically. You're a leader, and you can do these things with the command action. You can stop panic. When another player makes a panic roll and loses control, you can make a command roll to return them to their senses. So if someone freaks out and has one of there's a number of panic rolls that basically make them just completely uncontrollable. You can use your command ability to try to get them into their own head again and get them under control.
Built in.
Yeah. You can give orders. This is a combat action. It's a slow action, which we'll get into the actions in a second. But you can bark orders at another player. They must be able to hear you, but you roll command, and for every success you roll on your command action, they get a +1 dice to their roll when carrying out the order you gave. So you basically can like bless other people kind of with your commands for their next action. Or is it guidance?
Guidance, probably.
Guidance, yeah. So it's kind of like you like the best example I can think of would be like you calling out to one of your Marines to like shoot that sniper. There's a sniper on top of the building. Shoot them. And then you roll it. And if you get 3 successes, they get +3 dice to when they go to shoot that sniper. And then medical aid. This was going to be primarily for Eric. I don't think the rest of the Marines have great medical aid. But it can be used in 2 different ways. When a person's health is dropped to 0 and is broken, you can apply medical aid to them. And if the roll succeeds, they get back on their feet and immediately recover a number of health points equal to the number of successes you rolled. That's if they drop to 0. Or you can revivify, or you can save a life. And this is, like I said, this is the most critical use of medical aid. Is if a character has suffered a critical injury that is fatal, if they have had, I don't know, let's say their leg artery cut, let's say, and is lying on a catwalk waiting for someone to save them. You could make a medical aid to keep them from having to roll a death saving throw due to that critical injury. Which we'll talk about critical injuries in
right now. Yeah, specifically my field surgeon says I get a +2 when treating someone who's about to die from a critical injury.
Yeah. And there's a number of those. There's guts hanging out. There's severed arteries. There's lots of things. Okay. I think those are the longest ones. I think. I hope my voice isn't going to last.
It's more whiskey.
More whiskey. Time and space. So this is just, I'll skip to the important parts, and that's the two tables. What the game doesn't use 5 feet, 10 feet. It doesn't use a strict map marker like D&D does. It's very vague about it. So there are range categories for when you're fighting, when you have abilities that say like certain ranges. If you look at your weapons, you can see they all have ranges. Engage means right next to you. You are like face to face fighting this person. Short means a few meters away in the same zone as you. And a zone, by the way, is like a room. In an enclosed area, it would be considered like a room. In an open area, it will be a little bit more vague, but we can partition off certain sections of an open area to be like, okay, this area is sort of the zone here, and this where you guys are at is the next zone over. But short would mean he's in the same zone as you. He's pretty close. Medium is up to 25 meters away in an adjacent zone. So this would be like if you were in the hallway outside the room, but you can see into the room and you wanted to shoot into the room. That would be medium. Long would be up to 1,000 meters or 4 zones away. That it's like somebody on a rooftop. 100. Oh yeah, 100. 1,000's a lot. 1,000 is a kilometer. That's how meters work. That's like, yeah, that is like somebody up on a rooftop.
Makes the next section make more sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Somebody on a rooftop firing out at the street would be a long range. And then extreme, about 1 kilometer. So that's like, I don't know. It's a kilometer. Not quite a mile. And then there's the way they do time. This is going to be the hardest one for us. It's the hardest one for me when I'm reading the stories and the rules, is that their definitions are very different. A round is the entire round order. Like every character like initiative order has gone through and is back to the top. That is 1 round, which I think is the same as D&D.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Turn is completely different. They don't have a name for each individual character's going. They don't have a term for that. In this game, a turn is 5 to 10 minutes. So if and it's because there's a lot of actions that might take a little bit of time. Like if someone said, like, I want to hack this computer. Well, that will take 1 turn, right? It'll take about 5 to 10 minutes to do the thing. I want to clear this rubble. That will take a turn, 5 to 10 minutes to do the thing. It also says primary use stealth. That's because when you make a stealth roll, it lasts for 1 turn, 5 to 10 minutes. A shift is also, this one actually does come into handy. It does become important. That's basically a day job. That's between 5 and 10 hours. That's like a day of work. Yeah. And the way that's why this one comes in handy or comes into use is with recovery from critical injuries. Like sometimes you might get like, I don't know, your leg crushed, and it might take
Sometimes
crushed legs. That's
well, I thought that you forgot. Both your characters got crushed legs.
I recall.
And it might take, like they might say it takes 3 shifts to recover from that. So that's how that plays out. And then the last part of this is zone features. I could say a zone is cluttered, which means you can't stand up. You have to crawl or roll mobility checks when you move into it. Oh, I'm sorry, that's cramped. Cluttered means you have to roll mobility to move into and around the zone. Dark means your observation gets a -2 modifier, and your range attacks also get a -2 modifier into darkness. And then cramped means it's like a crawl space. Narrow tunnel means you can only crawl, which that'll just come up when I describe a room. Actions and initiatives. So ignore anywhere on here that says draw a card. Ignore that. That's for the physical game. We're going to just roll dice, and they're going to go up on the initiative order because drawing cards doesn't work very well in Roll20. Okay. But initiative is going to work exactly the way it does in D&D. 2 players. This is something to keep in mind. 2 player characters can change initiative order with each other if they so choose. They have to say they're going to do that either the beginning of the fight or the beginning of a round. They have to say like, "Hey, we want to switch." But if they agree to switch, they can switch. That's like them tactically going like, "No, you throw the grenade first, and then I'll fire." Whatever. In combat, this is only combat now. This is like the big in this list. I have trouble with because there some things I'm like, shouldn't it be in the other one or vice versa? But you basically have 2 actions you can take during your turn in combat: a slow action and a fast action. Slow actions are generally like your major action, right? Like, I'll just read these because they all kind of need to know because some of them aren't very intuitive. Slow actions are crawling, close combat attack, shooting a firearm, shooting a burst of full auto fire, throwing a weapon, reloading is a slow action. Keep that in mind. Doing first aid is a slow action. Stopping someone from panicking using command is a slow action. Giving orders with command is a slow action. Persuading someone with manipulation is a slow action. Using a signature item, I'm not sure why you'd want to do that in combat. It's just in the middle of a firefight.
Hang on, guys.
I need a smoke.
I need my smoke break.
Yep.
Just blow smoke rings on this alien.
Yep.
Stress levels are going down already.
One to like in her mouth.
Just is hanging off her lips as she's firing. Climbing into a spacesuit is a slow action. Starting an engine on a vehicle is a slow action. And then fast actions are kind of everything else combined. Like your movement in D&D, your bonus actions, your free actions are all considered fast actions. So your fast actions are running, moving through a door or hatch, standing up from prone, drawing your weapon, blocking an attack, which we'll talk about in a second, picking up an item, shoving someone that's engaged with you away from you, grappling someone who's engaged with you, retreating from someone who's engaged with you, aiming your weapon, which FYI, this probably says it later, but aiming with your fast action gives you a +2 modifier to when you shoot with your slow action. So if you spend your whole turn just not moving, but just aiming and then firing, you get a +2 to your attack. Seeking cover is a fast action. Assuming an overwatch position, which kind of works like readying an attack. That's a fast action. Grabbing the wheel of a vehicle, it's already going. Driving a vehicle, it's already going. Entering or exiting a vehicle is a fast action. Or using an item is a fast action. As we said earlier, you can help other people. But in combat, that kind of works a little differently, where you can break initiative order. So if someone says, for example, like one of you says, with my slow action, I'm going to grab this heavy door and I'm going to slam it shut. Like it's big steel door, I'm going to slam it shut. One of you could say, I'm going to use my slow action to help him do that. And basically you're giving up your next slow action to give them a +1 dice on this
Just a
slow
+1?
action. It's just a +1 to help. Yeah. So yeah, it may not be useful a lot of the times if there's other things to do. But say there's an army of aliens charging at that steel door. Maybe everybody wants to help because like getting the door closed is the thing to do.
How do you know we want the door closed?
I don't. I mean, you may want.
Welcome, brothers and sisters.
Come in.
I'm going to use my slow action to put something in front of the door.
Movement. You can run, which I believe moves you 1 zone to a neighboring zone. Or I think elsewhere it says 2 zones if you're not in combat or not engaged with someone in combat. Crawling, if you're prone, you instead you crawl, works the same as running, but it's a slow action instead of a fast action. So this game does have reaction attacks. If you are in engaged status with an enemy, you can't just walk away from them. Instead, you have to use either the retreat or the shove actions to disengage yourself to short range, and then you could flee.
We take a level of rogue to get a bonus action.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to disengage.
Is it 2 levels of rogue?
Yeah. And then unlocking a door hatch is a fast action. So unfortunately you can't like unlock a door, open it, and then also run through it as the same fast action. I will say, though, you can always replace a slow action with a fast action. You can't do it the other way around, but you can take 2 fast actions in your turn. So if you want to, it's basically take the dash action or something like that. Like if you just want to run twice in your turn, you can do that. But you can't take 2 slow actions. You can only take 2 fast actions if you wanted to. The game does have sneak attacks. It's your mobility, quote unquote stealth, versus the enemy's observation when you get close enough. Now, I will say this only happens for one person. Whoever is doing the sneak attack gets 1 attack off if they successfully sneak attack somebody, and then everybody's rolling initiative. So it's not the whole party; it's 1 attack. And then an ambush, you can set up ambushes. They actually have rules for it, which I love. I wish they had rules for this in D&D. You can set up an ambush. If you know enemies are going to be walking through an area, you can hide in the area, and you get a +2 to your stealth check as they're moving and you're not. And then I think you all get stealth ambush attacks at that point. When they come close, which I'm not sure you do. You maybe only one of you still gets the attack, or maybe not. I'll adjudicate that if you guys decide to set up an ambush. That's a good stealth score. You're so quiet.
+2 because it says if you ambush somebody, roll mobility, but with a modification of +2.
That's right. Damage. So you have armor. So if you get shot or stabbed or scratched,
You guys get armor?
yeah, most of you have armor. One of you does not have armor.
Oh.
You can roll your armor against the attack. And basically what happens is every success that you roll on your armor negates one of the successes on the enemy's attack. So if the enemy rolls an attack, you can actually click the word armor in your character sheet. I'll roll Jamuski's.
Oh, Jamuski's.
Nope, Jamuski did not. Come on, somebody roll success.
No, our armor rolls.
No armor. Nobody's got any armor. Silva, you're. So that would minus
18.
Yep. So where that becomes important is, so like I said, every success after the first on attack is +1 damage, but weapon attacks have a base damage. So, like for example, I think a shotgun has a base damage of 3. So if they roll 1 success on a shotgun, that one success is going to do 3 damage. However, if you roll 1 success on your armor, it does nothing because it just hits your armor and bounces off.
Wait, the successes are multiplicative with the damage? It's like per?
No, well, no, it's more that weapons have a base damage at the first success.
So you get 1 success, you get the damage, and each other one is a +1.
Exactly.
Okay.
And on your weapons, it should say what your base damage is. You should be able to see like a base damage number. So like your medical aid, your surgery kit with your scalpels has a base damage of 2. So if you rolled 1 success, you would do 2 damage. And then but then each armor success removes 1 success, not 1 damage.
Okay.
Actually, let me read that. No, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Each success on an armor roll lowers the damage inflicted by 1. Yeah, I was wrong about that. So anyway, forget that. If you're getting attacked by a shotgun and they're about to do 3 damage to you, you need to roll 3 successes to get rid of all the damage. Otherwise, I think we were doing that wrong last time. Actually, now that I'm reading this, I think I was getting rid of the first success.
Yes.
Yeah. Broken is the fun word they use for dropping to 0 health. If you drop to 0 health, you are not dead. Far from it. You are horribly maimed in some way.
Far from it.
You wish you were far from it.
Yeah, exactly. You'll wish you were far from it.
I'm better than ever. So are my intestines.
You drop to the ground. You're out of the action. You can crawl, so you can move marginally. You can crawl and mumble But you cannot perform any actions.
Far from death, though.
You can't perform any actions, and you can't roll any skills.
Oh, so that's what a spleen feels like.
Mumble, crawl, and can't do
Mumble,
anything.
crawl, I can't do
I'm
anything. Yeah.
okay, everyone.
I'm so far from death.
I'm so far from death.
I got a
Don't
ways to
even
go.
worry about me.
I'm
Death is
not
way
dead yet.
back there. I'm crawling this way.
There are a couple ways to get back up if you've been broken. One is first aid, and we covered that earlier. What first aid does is basically each success gives you a hit point, so it's very good. But it's an action to do that with your medical aid skill.
I feel like I'll be doing this as most of my actions.
Let me heal you. Let me heal you. On your own, if you got no one around you, you automatically recover 1 hit point of health after 1 turn, so 5 to 10 minutes. So basically, like if you get knocked out, like out of the action, give it 10 minutes, you'll be back on your feet again. When you're no longer broken, you recover 1 hit point per 5 to 10 minutes of rest. So if you like just rest for an hour, you'll be back fighting shape, presumably. A broken character is defenseless. Oh, this is the fun, like the game mechanically puts a barrier in front of you on this. If you want to kill someone outright who is broken, you have to make a roll before the game will allow you to do that. You have to make an empathy roll, and you have to fail your empathy roll in order to kill a broken person.
You have to make a psychopathy roll.
Exactly. You have to make a psychopathy roll. Yep.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I heard empathy was woke.
I will not be engaging with empathy.
We take no prisoners in this game.
Right. Whether or
That's
not you
fascinating.
succeed at killing your target, trying to kill a defenseless person increases your stress level by 1. So you could try and then fail. Like
I mean,
your
it did with me.
When I tried to kill that guy, it was my stress went through the roof, guys.
It's very convenient.
It was traumatic for me.
I didn't end up doing it, but whew.
If you have the
But-
merciless
What a rush.
talent, you can kill
Yes,
without this negative effect.
that's right. That's right. I don't know if any of you do, actually. But
the
anyway,
robot
yeah.
does.
The rope. Yeah. So the other thing that happens when you drop it, that's just the like going out of
Four
action.
empathy.
Yeah, you gotta have. You're likely going to be very hard for you to kill a person.
You're a robot. How are you
I was gonna
empathetic?
say I probably have like the 3
It's
laws
programming.
like baked in or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's you have to like kind of like fight against your programming that lets you not hurt people. So that's the first thing that happens when you drop to 0 hit points. Is you basically it's their like kind of slightly unconscious state, the broken state. The other thing
Far
that
from
happens when you far from death. The other thing that happens when you drop to 0 hit points is you get a critical injury immediately. Now, this is the fun part of the game, if you ask me. When you get a critical injury, you roll on the critical injury table. This is a D66 table. Every single thing is a unique thing. And they go from nothing at 1, basically, to instant death at 66.
I like that they're all the instant deaths are worded differently though to make
They
them
are,
unique.
yeah. There's like 3 or 4 of them that are
Yeah.
instant death, and they're all worded differently.
They're all worded slightly differently.
Four of the 66 are instant death, but they're all different reasons for you instantly dying.
Yeah.
Now you made sure your table works correctly, unlike Eric's table of constantly only having me be.
The-
These are all
the
going to be
difference-
instant deaths.
Yeah,
going
yeah. This table is what do you call it? There's no weighting on this. It's like there's 66 entries and each one has 1 weight, so there should be no shenanigans. But if you think there is, you feel free to roll a d66. We'll see what the table says.
Does it automatically pull from the table, or do you have to look it up when you roll?
I'm pretty sure it does. Somebody hit. Oh, it doesn't.
Oh, just gives you a number.
I may have done that. Oh my God. Sorry, Chaplain. You would have instantly
Disemboweled instant death.
disemboweled.
Nice. I'm
Yeah.
glad that I got that out of my system.
Right. Get that out of the way first. Yeah.
I guess that would suck.
That would suck. Yep, that would really suck. So you
I'm
don't
trying to
want
look at if they can have it does say that synthetics can suffer critical injuries.
Synthetics actually have their own critical injury table,
Oh,
which will, because they can do like the Alien 1 thing where they let it cut in half but still moving around.
Right. Okay.
Like, yeah.
Oh, that's right. It's just a D6.
Yeah, it's a much smaller table. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that doesn't appear to be baked into my character sheet though.
That's interesting. No, we just have to have you roll a D6 and or I think there's a table. I'll share the table with you, I think.
Yeah, there's a synthetics. I've been looking
at
that
right,
because it just applies to me. There's a synthetics rule thing that's got the table in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
although
there's
one of them is an instant death.
Oh, really?
One of the D6s is you are torn to shreds. To shreds, you say?
That's actually much worse because that's like a 1 in 6 chance.
Yeah.
Versus 4 out of 66.
Core systems are severely damaged, and a Comtech roll is required to communicate with the android. So basically, you have to revive them.
Yeah.
But you can revive it. It does say you can't permanently die, but this basically temporarily shuts them down and requires the party to like have to make a check to revive them.
Yep, which is the Alien 1 thing where they plugged what's his name into like the computer, like powered him back up, but he can't move.
Yeah.
Okay, some of the critical injuries, as you roll them and look at them, some of them list them as outside of the 4 that are instant death. There's a bunch more that are fatal, which means after a certain amount of time, you will have to roll a death saving throw, and if you fail it, you instantly die.
Fun.
Most of them are 1 turn, so like 5 to 10 minutes before you die. Like leg artery cut. If your leg artery gets cut, you have 1 turn, which is 5 to 10 minutes before you have to make a death saving throw. And if you fail that death saving throw, you just straight die. If you make the death saving throw, you have another 5 to 10 minutes before you have to make the saving throw again. But in the meantime, someone can pull you out of your critical injury, a fatal critical injury, and save your life. They can do that. This is where your thing comes in, Eric. This is your skill specifically.
Yeah.
Is saving someone from a fatal critical injury. And they can make a medical aid roll to basically any successes make it non-fatal, but all of these also then have consequences. So, for example, a leg artery cut. If you get that healed by a medical aid roll, well, now you're not going to die, but now your run is a slow action.
But you won't be running very fast no more.
You won't be running very fast. A punctured lung makes your stamina and mobility checks at -2.
All right. One of these is paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Jesus. Crack spot.
Pretty bad.
That's pretty
bad. Far from death, I would say.
Far from death. I'm going to live a long, happy life.
Oh my gosh.
The only other thing I'll note on this is that if you are both broken and fatally wounded, you require 2 different medical aid checks. One to heal the fatal injury and one to get you out of the broken state. Obviously, the fatal injury is probably the one you want to do first because that's the one that will kill the person if it's not taken care of.
That was usually me.
Right. This is about how you... I like the last bit where it's like telling the players, the death of a PC can be traumatic, but try not to see it as a failure. Instead, consider a dramatic peak in your story.
Consider it a lesson to them.
That's right. Exactly.
Consider vengeance against
I will say, Eric, the last one, role played his death really well, where one of his characters died, and he went into the second character just like fully pissed off that his first character died. She was just so angry and inconsolable, and you can just continue the role play with a different character.
Yeah.
All right, so that's how damage works. What are we at? Stress and panic. We've basically covered most of this already. So except for we haven't covered all the different ways that your stress will increase. Pushing a skill roll will increase your stress by 1. Firing a burst of full auto fire, which we'll cover that in a second, will increase your stress by 1. Suffering 1 or more points of damage.
For Marines, just firing a full
full auto, yeah.
Come
Well, that's the thing.
on.
Stress is more like it's not
Adrenaline?
like adrenaline. Yeah, it's like more like adrenaline. Yeah. Going a day without sleep, food, or water will increase your stress. Performing a coup de grace, basically killing a person who's broken, as we covered, will increase your stress by 1. I don't know why. I don't know what the second one was. Don't worry about that one. I don't know what that one is. A member of your own crew attacks you. Increase your stress by 1. A person nearby is revealed to be an android. How specific?
It happens in the alien universe.
It happens occasionally. Or you encounter certain creatures or locations as determined by the scenario or the GM. So basically, like, I think in the last one of the first things you guys did that really I made your stress all go up is you encountered a dead body that was like missing its head.
Yeah.
And I just made all of your stress go up by 1. So just anything that's like that
And
I
there's never
decide
a roll for this. It's just you're declaring.
it's just I just
stress
declare
goes
it.
up.
Yeah.
And stress only goes down if you
In
do
2
the
ways.
command
Yeah, there's
or if
two-
you rest or something.
It's later on. I'll cover it. Yeah, but there's only 2 ways that stress can go down. They're not immediately accessible. Yeah, this is panic rolls. I think we've covered panic rolls mostly. There may be times when I just outside of stress, I may just tell you to make a panic roll. And that's when like some real serious shit happens. A chest burster, popping out of someone's chest cavity, that kind of thing. Certain, this is also the fun bit. Certain panic effects. So when a person panics, can cause everyone around them to panic. So it can just cascade into just panic attacks
This is
everywhere.
why it's good to have a robot on the crew, because I just sit there and cluck my tongue at everybody. And
Like, all these humans.
just balls of meat, water, and stress.
That's right. We've already talked about how to resolve a panic roll. And which ones don't do anything. And then here at the bottom is your panic. Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh, this is the synthetic. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is it. This is the panic roll table. So there's
because 1 to 6 doesn't do anything.
1 to 6 doesn't do anything. I think 7 to 9 you could still succeed on your check, but with some drawbacks. And then 10 through 15, you fail whatever you were trying to do and only do this action. Some of them don't say that they end. And if they don't say that they end, they don't end. So they just keep going. Like if you look at the Berserk one, you will just keep attacking people until something happens that ends it.
Until
and
or the target is broken.
That's right.
Wow.
There are 3 ways to end an ongoing panic. 1 is another character comes to your aid and makes a command check. That looking at you, Silva, as the leader. I don't know if anybody else have a high command or even a decent command.
Because you roll it even if you don't have the skill?
You can. You're basically only rolling your attribute, but yes, you can.
I have a 0. My empathy's a 4, so I'd be making a 4.
You 4 dice, which isn't bad. It's like a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
I am rolling so many zeros.
Oh my gosh, it's the worst commander. Go back to your cigarettes. You're a Gorman, basically, from Aliens.
Yep.
Roll
you
a
can go
1 out of 24.
Yeah, basically. You can go down. If you're broken, your current panic ends. Or
I'll go downtown.
Or 1 turn passes, like 5 to 10 minutes. So like you've been berserking for 10 minutes.
So the combat, basically it ends.
Yeah, the combat. Yeah, exactly. And then relieving. Oh, here's what you're asking about, Eric. Relieving stress. For every full turn, 5 to 10 minutes spent resting in a safe area that is secured from enemies, as far as you know, your stress level is reduced by 1 point.
So
Some of you you can take a short rest, and that reduces your stress by 1. Some of you may have skills to increase that number. I forget what the skill's called. I think banter, I think. I don't know if any of you have it, but other than that, you increase it by 1 for every 5 to 10 minutes, every turn spent safe. Or you can spend some time playing with your signature item, and that will reduce it by 1.
Give me some more smokes.
Give me some more smokes.
It says a panic roll can also decrease stress, as can
They
certain
can.
drugs.
Yeah, oh yeah,
You can take a
drugs.
short
Drugs
rest
can.
with
Yeah.
drugs.
And drugs. If you find drugs, you might want to take drugs.
Excellent.
Always.
Content warning on
Excellent.
this episode, man.
Yep. I think we said that the last time we played.
Yeah.
Content warning.
Are
This
these drugs?
is-
I don't know. Better do them.
Better do them. This is specific to Eric, but these are the synthetic rules. They don't feel stress. They do not panic. They have a higher attribute skill than
Don't
people.
ever stop.
Their damages, like I said, their damage table, I guess, is more dangerous to them because they could be taken completely out of action on a 1 through 6 roll. But if they're broken, they take one of their 6 possible options. Androids do not heal. So unlike players who can just rest for a while and their health will go back up, androids do not heal. A shift of work and a comtech roll, which I can tell you is probably not going to come into play here.
Oh,
You guys aren't going to spend a full 8-hour day repairing an android. It will repair all lost hit points and all critical injuries as long as the android hasn't suffered a system shutdown. And the android can repair themselves if they have the 8 hours. And
So
androids can't.
Without any armor, I mean, I do have a lot of hit points, but I would just go down to 0 at some point, but I just get a critical injury as a result.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just stay
And-
at like 0 or 1 hit point or whatever.
Yeah, it would depend on what your critical injury does. Some of them you might still be moving around until someone heals you. I actually have not familiarized myself with the. Yeah, so like 1 is you're still up, right? Like you're still moving around. Like your android loses its next slow action. That's it. So you're walking around with 0 hit points. But what that means is the next time you take damage, you roll on this table again.
Except for another one.
Maybe you roll a 1 again and it's fine. You just lose your next slow action. Or
Okay,
maybe you
so
roll a
just keep
6
rolling,
and
yeah, unless
you
you roll a
just- yeah.
6 and then you're kind of fucked.
So you're not. You're here for a good time,
Although
not a
some
long
are bad. If I
time.
roll a 5, I can't move.
Yeah,
I'm
Well, we
basically
may
like
have-
I'm a torso.
we may have to adjudicate that in the moment. I may let you play a different character at that point, like if that happens, because like, what are you gonna do as a head, you know?
Well, it doesn't say I'm a head. Well, yeah, I think I'm a head. It just says immobilized. So I'd
You're
be like-
immobilized. Okay.
It'd be like you talked about the in Hellboy where he has the dude on his backpack. Whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Who's has to carry him around?
I could still have hands.
Maybe one of your
perhaps.
teammates will carry you around.
Yep. An accessory.
That's right. Exactly. Synthetics also do not need air, food, water, or sleep, and are immune to vacuums, cold, and disease, and alien pathogens.
Yep.
So you're a weird mix of like really powerful in some ways, but very weak in some other very significant ways,
Yeah.
where you can't heal back up. So you're gonna be in a weird spot where you taking damage is actually gonna be a bigger deal for you than it is for the players who can just get patched up easier.
Yeah. Which is weird that one of my other talents is to dive in front of somebody else and take hits.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ooh. But I mean,
don't know
yeah,
about that.
if my job is to protect people, then sure.
Yeah. We've kind of covered this already, but stealth is done on a turn by turn basis. So 5 to 10 minutes of game of like real world or in world time. I will ask you guys to make a group stealth check, and you guys can move around. And if you guys are like in different spots, like if you split the party, I'll ask each of you to make stealth checks for where you are. Enemies are either active or passive. Active means they know you're there. Passive means they don't know you're there. And detection. This is where this like the sneak attack thing comes in. If you see an enemy and they are passive, they don't know you're there, you could possibly get a sneak attack off by rolling a sneak check and seeing if you can sneak up on them.
I'll be shocked if we have a chance to sneak up on anybody
Yeah.
versus
Or
the
enemy
other
versus the
happening.
other way around. Yeah. The enemies can also do that to you.
Yeah.
The only other thing to mention here is there are motion trackers. And I don't know how many of you have one, but
I have one.
You have one? Okay. The way they work is you use them as a slow action. They can tell you up to a long range, up to 4 zones away, or extreme range on certain, or extreme range outdoors. That's what it is. And they let you know if there is movement that is not one of your player characters and where that movement is. That's all it tells you. If your enemy is not moving, it will not give you any information. So if an enemy is just standing very still, you won't see them, but you will get a ping on a location. That doesn't mean you see them. It just means that you know that there is movement in a particular place.
Right.
It says if the enemy is smaller well hidden, you may still have to make an observation check to even spot it. But if it's not small or well hidden and you know it's there, you can just walk in and see it. Close combat. I love this picture. It's just an alien just fully laying into it.
I've been blowing up all the pictures as we get to them.
Nice. Yeah. Basically, I think we've largely covered most of it in the other sections.
Yeah, you roll the
your
attack,
your weapon.
Success does the base damage.
Yep.
Multiple successes add +1.
Exactly.
But if you do multiple successes, you also can do all those extra moves.
Exactly. You can either add an extra damage for each success, or you can do one of these other things. You can disarm an enemy, pull a weapon or other object from their hands. You can knock them prone, outmaneuver them, and change initiative with them. In close combat, you can also block. This is a thing that you can do that I think uses your. I think it uses your slow action.
It says you roll for. I didn't see the action.
Yeah, so basically, you are saying I'm going to use my slow action for my upcoming turn.
Fast action, it says.
Oh, fast action. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, there you go. It says right there. I'm going to use my fast action for my upcoming turn, so I don't have it anymore, to try to block this melee close combat. And when you do that, you roll I think you roll a close combat roll yourself, and it basically works like armor. Like everything that you roll decreases their roll. Counterattack, if you perform a counterattack. Wait, I'm not sure if this is. I haven't read this part very carefully. Okay, these are stunts. Sorry, these are stunts. For each success you roll after the first. For each success you roll while you're blocking, you can do one of these three things. Decrease the damage by 1, counterattack them, so do some damage to them, or you can try to disarm them. That's what it is. And then reactive action is just basically just saying you use your fast action for your next round, so you can't do it more than once. The rest of these I'll probably go over when we actually use them, but grappling, you grapple someone to the ground, you two are wrestling on the ground. They have to spend an action trying to get out of that grapple. And neither of you can really do anything while you're grappling each other. Shoving is shoving someone away so that they're not in engaged range anymore, so that you can back off if you're trying to back off. Retreat is basically the disengage action from 5e. I don't know why you'd ever, honestly, as I was looking at this, I don't know why you'd ever retreat versus shoving. Because retreat, if you fail your mobility check, they can do a reaction attack against you. Versus shove, you just try to shove, and if you fail, you just don't shove them. They're still engaged with you, but you don't take an opportunity attack.
Well, there's different. You might just be better at one skill than another.
That's true. You might just be better. Yeah, and also they're different skills.
Combat.
Mobility versus close combat. Yeah, you're right. Range combat. It's basically the same rules. You're going to click your weapon. It's going to roll the appropriate skill. The only things that are different is if you spend your fast action aiming, you get +2 to that roll. Weapons have a range. So the farther away from your target, the harder it is to hit. This is okay. Sorry, this is saying that the farther away you are, the harder it is to hit an enemy. So at medium range, you get a -1. At long range, you get a -2. And engaged, you get a -3 with your firearm because you're right next to him and trying to shoot him. It's like the range rules from 5e. Firing on a defenseless enemy or a defenseless or unwitting enemy, you get a +3 modification.
Unwitting enemy.
Unwitting. The size matters, but I'll tell you that in the moment. If you're trying to fire at something really big, you might get a bonus because you don't have to, aim that hard. Range fire modifications is just a table telling you some things that might change the number of dice you roll. Resolution, exactly the same as what we talked about. Like you roll your attack, they roll their armor, and if you get however many successes you get versus their armor, that's what you get in terms of successes to attack. Cover, you can take cover, and there's a cover table. I love that shrubbery gives you a 2 armor rating.
Some thick shrubbery.
Thick shrubbery. I suspect the logic is just them being able to see you more than the
like
actual
a fucking tree.
Maybe, but I just found that funny. The shrubbery gives you a 2 armor rating. Full auto. So this is something that a lot of you have on your weapons, and this is an option on your weaponry. If you decide to fire your weapon in full auto, it does a few things. You get a +2 to the roll. It increases your stress by 1. I imagine this is the, like, you're screaming and just holding down the fire button and just sweeping. So you get a +2 to the roll. Your stress level goes up by 1, but you can distribute your extra successes to any targets beyond the first within the same short range. So you can, like, attack multiple enemies. So if you roll, let's say 4 successes, you do your base damage to the main target. You can do those extra damage dice to another target that's in the same short range as that first target.
Good thing they don't explode into acid or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Ammo works differently in this game than you would imagine. It's cinematic ammo, which means you don't ever have to reload because in the game universe, it's like you're auto reloading just all the time, just as a free action, like an action you don't even have to take. Except
wait, I thought you said reload was a slow action.
It is, because the only time you have to reload is if you roll a 1 on a stress dice as part of an attack. What that means is that's the only time that you're firing and your magazine clicks empty. When that happens, when you roll a 1 on a range attack, your magazine is empty and you have to take a full slow action to reload your gun. That's the only time you have to reload. So you could get like a dozen shots off where you don't ever have to reload. And then you could get 3 in a row that you do have to reload if you just happen to roll 1s on those range attacks.
All right, dude, we're almost at midnight. Is there any
I know, yeah.
rules we need to...
I'll skip the bottom stuff until it comes up. Yeah, Overwatch is readying an attack. I think that's it.
Compared to
let's see.
Charity of the Gods, how is this about the same length? Is it much longer? Like, what? I know it's hard to
it's really hard. It might be the same length, so like 5, I think 5 sessions is what we did last time.
Yeah.
So it might be 5. I don't know. Once we get
we
through
didn't
like
have
2,
much combat, it would be one.
That's true. I don't know how long combat's going to take. Yeah. We'll have to see. Okay, yeah. So what I'm trying to like very quickly go through the rest of the stuff. Is there anything important?
I mean, very specific minutia can come up as it is. But
yes,
in terms of the basic stuff like skill, we know to do skill checks.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll say to keep in mind is that your weapons might have special attributes. Armor piercing means that the enemy rolls half their armor dice. Armor doubled, which is specific to shotguns. I don't think you guys have any shotguns. Means they roll double the amount of armor dice, so it's like their armor is extra effective. Yeah, the rest of it I think we can go over when we use it. Grenades have a specific rule, which is basically if it says there's a blast number, so let's say like blast 9. Basically, you roll 9 dice, and that's the amount of damage it's going to do in that area. I think that's it. I think everything else can wait until it actually comes up.
Did this one come with full color maps, or did you have to find?
I had to find, and I haven't actually fully built them yet. I will by next week. That was an issue.
Yeah, with the last one, you had really good maps by the time that we played. I remember, but
yeah,
I remember you saying you had to find them.
I'll show you what the maps generally look like. I'll show you an area that we're not going to use. Well, no, I'll show you that they all look like this. So it's better than like the hand drawn. I'm sorry, I didn't draw it.
I'm not seeing it. Yeah.
They all look like this. They all look like layouts.
Yeah.
Which is better than like the hand drawn, D&D ones, but it's also not terribly usable for what do you call it? Roll20 specifically. Yeah, because you can't. They're not sized for tokens and all that jazz. So, but I've got maps though. People have played this enough to have built those. Yeah, I think everything else can wait. Vehicle combat can wait until you guys get in a vehicle.
Yeah.
Other hazards can wait. I think explosions and fire are in here, but like I said,
sure
that's that's grenades. But that's basically the you can read those rules if you want. But that's how grenades and incendiary grenades work. I think some of you have those. But yeah, I think that's it. We hit the end of the rules.
Yeah, it is coming back. Like it's D6s. Your skill or your thing is your skill plus your attribute. You're rolling a bunch of D6s. Only 6s are successes. And then as you accumulate stress, you get more dice. But if you roll a 1 on the stress dice, then that's what triggers the panic rolls. Or does it automatically trigger panic if you roll a 1?
If you roll a 1 on a stress die.
On a stress die, yeah. So you see the face hugger symbol.
The face hugger, yeah. If you ever see the face hugger.
And the stress just kind of compounds over the course of the whole story and ends up eventually stressing everybody out.
That's right. So the one thing I'd recommend is before we start, like look at your weapons, look at your skills and attributes, see what you're good at, what you're not good at. Look at your talents, the top right, see what special talents you have. What we'll do, I was playing with doing it tonight, but we'll do it at the beginning of the next session. Is we'll do the private mic thing where I will talk to each of you individually, because they're on top of your personal agenda, which is just your like private what's going on with you right now. There's also act cards that I'll give you next time that are like, here's your general like what's going on with you right now in this act,
and like your personal goal or something.
And your personal goals, yeah, exactly, yeah. But we'll do that at the beginning of the next session.
Cool. I'm excited. I really enjoyed playing Alien RPG last time. And I'm excited to basically play Aliens versus Alien.
Right, yep.
If this will indeed be that way. I'm excited for Reese to be able to play Alien for the first time. I think that'll be a blast. So yeah, and we won't know how long, but we'll end up playing this full campaign, so however long that takes us. We'll be doing that on our
I would say
Fridays.
Probably 5, no more than 6, I can't imagine.
Really?
But yeah.
Jason in the chat says it took twice as long to play.
Oh, really?
This one as the other one.
Okay, that's good to know. I think once we're through like the first 2 sessions, then I'll be able to accurately give you an end date.
Like crawling through, or
I don't know. I honestly, because you guys are Marines and you guys are gonna be doing a lot more combat.
Right.
I don't know how long combat takes, to be honest.
Right.
So we'll see.
There's no time crunch here, so it's just however long it takes us.
Cool.
All right, so and we will do a post session chat for Alien, which we did for Charity of the Gods as well. I'm thinking I might call it Chatter of Worlds.
Chatter of Worlds. That's pretty good. I like it.
I thought so. Chatter of Worlds didn't sound right.
Chatter of Worlds, yeah.
Chatter of Worlds.
Also, I've just for fun, I want to show you the guys the full, because this won't come into play during the session.
Galaxy map.
The full galaxy map.
Where's
and in
Tatooine?
Case you guys are wondering where you are in this scenario, you will be right here.
Oh.
Kruger 60, Fort Nebraska. That is where you will be when this campaign starts.
Wow. They had to actually do a map for this. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but there's not gonna be any chat for tonight, obviously, because there's nothing. This whole thing was like a chat, so we won't do a post game chat. But future sessions, we will do the session and then the post game chat. Cool. All right. Super thank you to Game Mother Chris for running another Alien RPG session,
For
or
talking
a
for 2
full
hours
campaign,
straight?
I should say, and putting all this together. And thank you to Heather, Raymond, and Reese for joining us as players. Thank you to all the wonderful fans for watching. As always, thank you
Are we
to
still playing D&D?
the patrons. We're going to be clicking that one so many times.
No.
We are not. Shouts to Platinum patrons Joe, Will, Thomas, Dan, Brennan, Genocider, Roleplay, Roll, Christopher, Corey, Big Nut, John F, John L, Nathan, Andrew, Stephanie, Jason, Libby Spuds, Warden, Harold, Unimo, LC, Tom, the Eating the Dogs, Marcus, Snuggy, Hugo, Shay, Chris, and Matthew, and Gold patrons RPG, Paper Crafts, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, Lizard, Lounge, Jerome, Nathan, Vasca, Torres, Carter, Fester, Glenn, and Mark. Thank you all very much for your support, and we will see you for our first Alien session next week, and hopefully have music. Blame Chris for not having music.
Hold on, no. I've got music. I will play music as we leave. This is the same music I played during the.
Filling the sounds until we start.
There we go.
Hearing.
Can you hear it?
Music. Might just be starting. Oh, there it goes.
There it goes. Okay.
Okay. It's very quiet, but we'll take it.
I can turn it up.